The Palestinians and the Israelis have been at war for over 90 years, fighting over how the land of what is known today as Israel should be split between the two nations. Many propositions to settle this conflict have been proposed, but neither the leaders of Palestine nor Israel have been able to come to an agreement. Today, the nations are still trying to settle the conflict, but many predict that there will be no solution in the near future. Jack Sinunu, a Christian Palestinian born in Jerusalem in 1924, shares, through his life experiences, the causes of the conflict and what he thinks keeps the conflict going.
Yeah, the Jews started to migrate to Palestine in the 1930s when Hitler came into power in Germany. And initially it was a small trickle of them, which people didn't mind. Said, okay, those poor people are being persecuted there, so it's fine of them to come. But then they started to come in by the thousands, illegally, in boatloads, and that's what scared the Arabs and caused them to start to fight against it.
The main argument of Israel today is that Palestine was never a distinguished nation, but rather a colony of a mother nation. Knowing this, I asked my grandpa how the Jewish migration could be illegal if Palestine wasn't a country.
That's whether it's a country or a city or a state or whatever, you're living there under certain circumstances, and then somebody else encroaches upon you big time. I don't care who it is, you wouldn't like it. And it doesn't matter who it is. They can be the nicest people coming in from somewhere else. You can't communicate with them. You can't, and they have, and they become the majority and start to want to rule over you when in your own home. I would say, by and large, the majority were probably normal, decent people. But they came in, and many of them came in and they had a lot of money because they were rich. Many of them were rich in Germany. They came in with a lot of money, and many of them bought a lot of land from the Palestinians at high prices. So some of the Palestinians made out very well by selling them land. And they didn't come in, the original batch was sort of a decent crowd. But then when you start to get the shall we say, the zealots in huge numbers illegally, and you start to worry about becoming a minority and being overrun, that's when you start to get concerned. There was no concern about, there no animosity towards them because of their suffering. The animosity was, you're encroaching upon my life and you're making me become a minority in my own country.
My grandpa moved to New York City in March of 1948 for business opportunity, to meet up with family, and to pursue his dream of living in the United States. The Palestine-Israeli war started in May 1948, and I asked my grandpa what the response of the people of the United States was.
So that when we were here, from May 1948 on, say May the next year or two, it was a sort of a very frustrating thing because it was so pro-Israel. All you saw and read is 100% pro-Israel. It never showed the other side. And we knew the other side, but it wasn't there. And at times it was even scary because I didn't dare express my point of view or debate it in the open or anybody. I'm not going to say they would have clobbered me, but I didn't have the courage to do it. It was so strongly one-sided, and I mean, particularly in New York City, it was frustrating. Gradually, over the years, slowly, the other side Arab point of view started to come out in more and more in the open. And today, I would say, is a huge difference from the way it was in 48. But the field is definitely not even. It still is tilted 70-30 in favor of Israel. And I'm a believer in everything that there's always two sides to every story. I mean, nothing is really ever my way. So I think that it'll be good for the Americans to be more even-handed and to look at the other side a little more clearly and then decide. Some of them are going to go pro this and the others are going to go pro that. That's fine. But I think I like to see people looking at open-mindedly at both sides.
My grandpa doesn't care whether a person is pro-Israeli or pro-Palestinian. All he cares about is if they are informed about why he believes the conflict still exists today. When I asked him what he thought the problem was, I got a response that I had never heard before.
The big stumbling block nowadays excuse me, is the fact that Israel continues to try and capture more land by building more settlement and expanding the existing settlements on what's supposed to be the Palestinian state. And this is a very short-sighted policy. It just doesn't make sense, because if you look at the map today, there are Jewish settlements here, 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 in this state. And you say this is going to be a Palestinian state. This is not a Palestinian state, this is a Swiss cheese state. Okay? How can you have a state where somebody has small settlements, small towns within you? In other words, Connecticut, you say, okay, Greenwich is in Israel, Bridgeport is in Palestine, Hartford is in Israel, New Canaan is in Palestine. I mean, how can you run a country like this? It's going to be contiguous. And you say, okay, this is mine, I'll give you a little bit more of the border. On this you take a little bit more land on the border, but you can't have a Swiss cheese state.
From this picture, it shows how Israel has taken over some of Palestine's land. While Israel offers agreements to give Palestine up to 96% of the land that was considered theirs after the 1967 war, the Palestinians cannot accept the offer as long as Israel holds land in that territory. The other problem in Israel today is how Jerusalem would be divided if they were to create two different states.
Jerusalem, as I told you, can be done two ways: either make it an international city, or it is already partitioned into there's a clear Muslim section, clear Christian section, a clear Jewish section. The Jewish section goes to Israel, the Muslim and the Christian sections go to Palestine. I mean, that's no big deal. It's already divided. So simple. They're very close if we get some goodwill on both sides. I mean, I don't know who's to blame, and I don't want to blame either one, because I don't know enough about this at this point, who's holding it up. But building the settlements, expanding the settlements is counterproductive. Somebody has to tell them, folks, you're being stupid by doing this, prolonging the agony when you have an opportunity of both of you to live in peace and dignity and to mint money, to make money, both of you. And I can't see why people are being so stupid. But the problem is there are extremists in both camps. That anybody that is open-minded and is practical has to deal with his own extremists in his own camp first, And that's what they have to do. That's the big battle. It's not each other, it's the extremists in their camps. One done bad things here, this one done bad things there. But forget about that. What do we do looking forward? And we are, I think, so close that it'll be a shame not to do it.